What's up, Online Empire Academy? I am Joshua Woodward, and as you guys know, we are in the middle of our series about private labeling. And, for those of you who don't know what private labeling is, it is the object of taking something like a pair of headphones and going straight to the person in China or whatever it is and getting them made with your own logo or whatever on it. Really simplistic way to explain it, but there's people all over who are making millions of dollars doing this, and so we wanted to kind of highlight that this month and just until we run out of sources, I guess. But today we have Travis Ross on, and an absolutely amazing guy. He's kind of been in the private label journey, and I wanted to bring somebody on who's in the trenches doing this every single day and really enjoying what he's doing. And so yeah, Travis, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited for this. It's something fun, and it's just a new world to me. Our company has been doing private labeling for a while, but I've learned so much in the last month just talking to people about private labeling, and I'm excited to hear your story because you're in the trenches, man.
Yeah, I've been doing it for about a year now, and it's definitely been, I've learned a ton. I've learned a ton of what not to do, and I've learned a few things to do in the process. Been fun.
Yeah. Share your story. How did you get started with Amazon? How did you get started with the private labeling game?
Sure. Well, I've actually been in ministry for almost 20 years, and was took a job in Denver. We were living in Colorado Springs at a church, and I took a position at a church in Denver, and we needed to move, and the cost of living is a little more up here. So um, my wife we were trying to figure out some things that she could do, and we were looking for. I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial bug, and I've had my real estate license on this side at times, and I've bought and sold websites in the past, and just a lot of different things that a lot of people do on the side to make a little extra money. And so I was looking primarily to the online space for my wife to be able to make a little extra money, so we could live in Denver, I guess. So we moved up here, and eventually we kind of came on to we actually started a website for cooking products for her, and she
Huh.
was just going to write articles and review products and do some Amazon affiliate stuff, and that was what kind of started it. And then all of a sudden I heard a podcast um, about this Amazon FBA thing and about private labeling, and I was blown away. I was like, this is really, really crazy. And we had sold our home in Colorado Springs, and so we had some capital. So I'm thinking, I've got some cash I can invest in this thing, and and the other side was, well, we've got this website now that has all these articles and all of these things we could actually sell on our website, as kind of a secondary channel, if you will. And so, all the pieces seemed to be fitting. And so I started talking to my wife about it. And as probably many of your listeners know, when you first kind of broach that subject with your loved one, it can go one of two ways, but usually the way it went with mine. And that was, it was met with some resistance. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about sending a couple $1,000s overseas, and crossing your fingers, because I mean, and it can seem like that if you don't know what you're doing. And she knew. I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I'd heard this idea and thought it was a great idea, and I just wanted to jump in. So um, so I started with online or I'm sorry, I started with retail arbitrage. So I was working at the church, and so on my lunch breaks and on the way home, I'd hit a Walgreens or five, stop at a Walmart, and I just started filling our basement with all kinds of stuff, and sent my first shipment in. I think my first shipment I sent in at the end of 2014, and I think it was 4 boxes. It came up on my time hop last month, and I was like, oh, look at that cute little shipment, and but I was pretty excited about it. And sure enough, it's some stuff started selling, and really, I tell everybody I started in January because that's really when it started clicking. And uh, we were just basically doing retail arbitrage, and then I do a little bit of online arbitrage. And in the meantime, we started to research on Alibaba, which is a Alibaba.com. I'm sure most of your listeners have heard of it. It's a Chinese website where manufacturers and agents for manufacturers come together, and basically it's kind of like Amazon, but you're dealing directly with the manufacturers, and these manufacturers will package these things for you in specific ways, and you can design the packaging, and you can have them even label it for you if you want. I mean, you basically just have to do uh, the the Alibaba dance, as I like to call it, because I'm in the mountain time zone, and so I want to say it's like it's the middle of the night in China right now, and so in order to talk to the Chinese, I have to do that at 10 o'clock, or 10 o'clock p.m., or I'm writing an email and then I'm waiting till tomorrow to see if they may have responded. So uh, it just takes a long time until to really get much done, just because of the time difference. But we started doing that, and because of that time difference, it did take a long time. And eventually, we decided upon a product, and um, we wanted to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace, and so we did that through color. And so we had them send over Pantones, little sample Pantone chips, and we decided which color we wanted to go with. Um, I like to say it worked. We got the product in. What I wanted to do the first time, it's that our product is, and I know your listeners can't hear it or see this, but I don't know, probably about as big as, um, a little bit smaller than a shoebox, like it's the box size. Okay, so let's say 12 inches by 8 inches by 4 inches deep, or 6 inches deep. So there you go. And because, I mean, that's a little bit large if you want to do air shipping. So what I decided to do was, my initial order was for 500 of them, and I decided, and they were coming in. Well, I think it ended up being 512 or four or something like that, because of the carton sizes. So what I did was I had them send over one carton via air, and then the rest I put on the boat, on the
Huh.
slow boat. And I had a forwarder, a freight forwarder, take care of that for me, and I basically paid the freight forwarder to pick up the goods in China, put them on the boat, get them over here, take care of all the customs and all the brokerage fees and all that stuff, and then deliver them to my home here. No, was that the one I did? No, I actually delivered them all to Amazon. Um,
Wow.
my freight forwarder actually, put the labels on for me, and my first shipment, I got, I think, 30 of my item here at my home in a big box. I was super excited, and I knew that it was probably going to be about a month or month and a half before the rest of them arrived in the States, because they were on the boat, and I knew they'd have to get through customs and all of that, and then get labeled, and then get UPS'd into Amazon. So I waited a little bit, but I had the product, so I had some pictures professionally taken, and got my listing already, and I thought it looked really great, and I sent in my 30. And so almost immediately I started seeing some sales, which
Wow.
blew me away. I turned on pay-per-click with no reviews, and just try to see what would happen. And I actually had to turn it off in a couple of days, because I'm like, I'm going to run out of, I only have 30 of these things. I'm going to run out, before the rest of them arrive. And sure enough, I ran out. I was
Oh
probably
my
out of stock
gosh.
for 3 weeks or so. I mean, um, it. I mean, I only had 30, so it wasn't going to last that long. So I was, scanning through all the Facebook groups and just trying to figure out, well, what happens when you go out of stock, and what are the dangers of that? And um, what I found was, it's not as big of a deal. If if pay-per-click's working, for your product, it'll, even if you go out of stock, you turn it back on, it'll work again,
Huh.
and your bestseller rank comes back, and all of that traffic that you thought you lost because your bestseller rank went down, um, really just comes back pretty fast. So when the rest of them got there, um, I started selling them, and I was, I I mean, I wouldn't say it's an incredible rate of sales. I was selling anywhere between 5 and 10 a day, but that was still, I mean, I was still blown away by that, and realized pretty soon that I needed to reorder that product. And so my next order was for 2,000 units, and I mean, I just went all in, and it actually turned out perfectly on this particular product, because I was able to get it right, like I want to say like right at the beginning of November.
Huh.
Finally, this time I had to use a different forwarder because I had all of these delays with the other forwarder. He dropped the ball. I tried a different forwarder. That guy never got back to me. So I was having lunch or with a friend of mine, Paul Witter, who I'm doing some things with. We'll talk about those later. I'm doing a conference with later. We'll talk about that. But he was telling me about, he has a friend that um, had a freight forwarding company, and so power of relationships, right? So I call the guy and get on the phone, and basically had him, he saved my bacon because he was able to get the product to me in time so I could get it into fourth quarter. And in fourth quarter, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe I was selling 20, 30 of these things a day. Because I mean, it's a kitchen item. It's about, that's perfect size to be, under the tree. And by that time, actually what I had done so I could go direct to Amazon was I did my packaging, and I put the F in SKU, which is Amazon's identification unit. Um, I put that actually on the packaging, so I didn't have to label anything.
That's
So
awesome.
I and the packaging looks nice. So I mean, I think a lot of people got a nice Christmas gift. You know what I mean? They opened it up, and it wasn't just a white box. The first time I sold them, they were all just white boxes, but I wanted to make it a little nicer. So um, so yeah, it was that was my first product. I have a couple others now, um, but I've just learned a lot. I mean, a lot of what not to do. A lot of mistakes along the way, particularly with freight forwarding and shipping, going out of stock, making sure that for instance, I just ordered another 2,000, and I had to make sure I got those on the boat before Chinese New Year, or I'd go out of stock again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I knew that, and so instead of like recovering from the quarter four sales, and just everybody kind of, I think, takes a week off after that. I was, talking to my manufacturer and making sure that I could get these done in time to get them on the boat so they'd be here before I was out of stock, because I'm already because of a great quarter four. I'm down to a few hundred units, and they're actually on the boat now. So I made it, so, I mean, it's things like that. Last year, I was all gung ho on private label. And then all of a sudden this Chinese New Year thing happened, and I couldn't talk to anybody for a month. I was like, what? So, I mean, that's an example of something that I had to learn kind of the hard way, so
Totally.
yeah, there's a lot of lessons that just taking action, just doing it, just jumping in with both feet. Yeah, you're going to make mistakes. Yeah, you might lose some money even, but you can't learn the lessons unless you're doing it. You know.
That's really good. That's really good. I love the story just of the common theme that I keep hearing in everybody that I talk to is I needed something and I went after it. And I stressed this in one of the previous podcasts, but really the difference is between a millionaire and somebody who's not a millionaire is the person who does it and chooses to run after it. And I love that you've taken that concept and said, I'm working towards this. Like, here I am. I have, I'm doing ministry. I'm working full time. I'm gonna do it on my lunch break. I'm gonna go after this, and I'm gonna fight for my family. I'm going to fight for the things that I need, and in order to live in Denver and go be where we want to be and do the things that we want to do. And I love that. It's when you're first forced into the corner, you end up coming up with some awesome things. And I think that's I love hearing that story and those stories that, just overcoming that obstacle. What have you found has been your biggest don't do? Like, don't do this. What is that biggest thing for you?
Hmm. Wow.
Chinese New Year's?
Um, oh man, that's uh, biggest don't do. I mean, there's obviously a ton of things that you could say. I would say um, don't pay more. In my case, I've done the kind of the 30% down, 70%, and I've had suppliers that are like, yeah, give us 50%, or oh, we want all of our money up front. I'm like, well, that's good for you. Yeah, I wouldn't pay more than 30% up front. And then this last uh, my my most recent private label product actually just went live yesterday on
Oh,
Amazon.
congratulations, man.
Yeah, the manufacturer was trying to get me to pay the balance, the 70%, before I had even seen pictures of the finalized product. And I think they were back. They were like, hey, Chinese New Year's coming up. We want to, and this was the first one that I did completely on it via air
Oh,
because it
wow.
was small enough. And she wanted to make sure that it would be that the payment would come and that they'd be able to ship it before everybody's gone. Um, so but I basically flat out told her, I said, I will be happy to pay you the moment I see pictures, and please take as many pictures as you can of the cartons, of the actual product, of the product, that my packaging. I'd like to see all of the sides of the product, and I was very specific with what I wanted to see, and she was very accommodating once she understood what I was asking for. But I think, I mean, it probably would have worked out because she was being very forthcoming, and she was an honest businesswoman, and had the goods, and she was just trying to basically protect me. But I think it still would have been a mistake to pay before I had actual proof. And I know that seems overly simplistic, but I think sometimes in our zeal to push the business forward, um, you know we we jump too soon, and we need to, this is a business and there is real dollars on the line, and so we just need to slow down, and make sure all of our ducks are in a row, before we actually pull the trigger. So I don't know, that's, like I said, it's probably oversimplistic, but do a 30/70, and don't pay until you have some confirmation. I mean, some people do inspections. I have not done inspections. I've just have really good relationships with the people um, that I'm dealing with, and I mean, that famous last words, right? I mean, I could be burned tomorrow, but so far, knock on wood, it's been a good experience for me dealing with my Chinese suppliers.
That's awesome. That's it. It kind of brought up a good point as you were talking. I was thinking about the process of finding a product that you're gonna private label. What did that look like? I mean, obviously, it sounds like your wife was already doing something in your niche. How
Mhm.
did you come up with a product or push into your certain realm and your niche? Because it sounds like you're selling several different products. How did you find those, or how did you get where you needed to be?
Um, well, obviously we kind of had the kitchen space that we wanted to specifically focus on, and at that point, it was just digging into the different subcategories and going through and just looking and looking and looking and looking and looking, and oh my gosh, we looked so much, um, and we had specific criteria we're looking for. We wanted to be able to differentiate, and so each one of our products is a little bit different. Like the first one, I told you we differentiated with color, and it's really interesting. I'm still shocked because this particular product, you go on, and if you were searching for the specific keyword, you would see you'd see probably two different colors primarily. Um, and that's all you would see. And then all of a sudden, ours is there, and right in the middle of all the other ones. It has some additional features to it also, um, but it stands out on the page. I mean, it's amazing when you do a search, you see that one because it's different than all the rest of them. And so I think that's contributed to sales. And then one of our other products, we actually just we contacted two manufacturers, and we had the second manufacturer send like I think it cost us an extra 10 cents a unit, send this accessory to the original, the first manufacturer, and just
Huh.
include it inside of the package. So now we have, kind of two for the price of one. I mean, it's not a huge sales point, but it differentiates us from everybody else, because we have this other thing that you get. I was already going to buy this thing, but now I get this thing and this other thing. So of course I'm going to buy your thing. So yeah, I mean, just trying to find that thing that sets you apart, um, because everyone is selling similar products on Amazon. You can always find something very similar to you, to the thing you're selling. So if you can make it different in some way, um, that's gonna go a long way.
That's really good. I love the realness that you just brought of it's going to take time and all the researching that you did. There's this mindset that I'm going to private label and it's going to be easy, and Alibaba's the best and I'm going to be able to do all this. It's there is really hard work that goes along with this.
Yeah.
And anybody I've talked to has said a similar thing, and that's that it takes work. And it's not arbitrage. It's not going out. The products aren't already on the shelves. You're the one creating that product. And exactly what you said, distinguishing yourselves from others that are on that listing and on that specific or in that niche. And I think that you gave two really valuable points. And that was the first was finding areas that were doing well, going through, looking through your niche, finding what works for you, but also what's already there in some subcategories, and digging in and finding those really specific products, and finding how to work with that is key. And the second is adding things in there. I love that you guys are partnering and taking the time to add that 10-cent price on top of there. Yeah, does it add up when you're buying 2,000 units? Absolutely, it adds up. But ultimately, it adds up to sales as well. And I love that you've taken those concepts and kind of run with them, because I've heard other people talk about it, but it's in theory. It's like, oh yeah, you need to go to AliExpress first and do this, and then jump over here and do that. And it's like, that's awesome. That's so good. But how does it actually play out? And I love the real life application that you have placed in front of us.
Mm, yeah. I was going to say the other thing um, that I've learned is, I think I devalued our second product. Had a little higher price point, and oh, this is a fun mistake, to that I'm paying for. So our second product, really excited about it. We bundled it with this other item, and we're like, oh, this is going to be great. There's nothing else like this, and I mean, there's a lot of similar products, but this one is unique, and nobody else is presenting this to the market. And we added this accessory, and so we're really excited about it. It gets to Amazon, and all of a sudden we realize, oh my gosh, this is an oversized item.
Oh
We didn't
no.
realize it, and that was a big kick in the gut, to realize all of a sudden all of the my processing and my uh, my spreadsheets and figuring out how much I had in it and how much I was going to make and what Amazon's fees were going to be were completely wrong, because it was off by 1 inch.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I didn't know what I didn't know. And there was nothing I could do. It was just, so what I had to do was I had to price it higher than I had originally planned on. And so I was way higher price. Well, not way higher. I was probably about $5 higher than what I had originally intended, just to make sure that I could sell it, or that I could make a decent enough profit to make it worthwhile. And then the funniest thing happened. You know how you can ask questions on on the Amazon page, somebody asked a question and said, "Hey, is this product really sturdy? Is it?" And four answers came in almost immediately, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, it's very sturdy. I'm really surprised because of how cheap it is. I thought it wouldn't be." And I was
Wow.
like, "Bling!" Light bulb went off, and I raised my price another $5. And it's still selling just as fast as it was. I mean, it's doing really
Wow.
well, and it just blew me away that. My takeaway is don't undervalue your product, um, and make sure you know how big the packaging is so it's not oversized. So yeah, I mean, originally I thought, well, I'm probably not going to reorder this particular product because, it's oversized and it costs way more than I thought it was going to cost, and I'm not making as much money. But at the price point it currently is, and the velocity that it's selling, um, I'm probably going to reorder it, and this time I'll order more, so my price will go down. And yeah, I mean, it actually turned into uh, something positive, and I really really was worried that I'd made a big mistake.
Wow. So cool. So cool. And I love the I was talking to somebody recently and they were talking about how so many sellers fight for feedback, and that sellers are actually they're selling to other sellers and not the consumer. And I think that you have a perfect example here of obviously you're optimizing listings and doing pay per click and doing all that kind of stuff, but it ultimately was the question being answered that led to not only you being able to raise your price, but ultimately more sales. And I love it. I think that totally nails on the head the idea that the community surrounding Amazon actually does sell stuff, and they sell it for you. Like being able to talk about something and say, yeah, no, this seller's not that great, or this item's not that great, or it's really flimsy, or in your case, it's awesome. It's stronger than expected. I think that that's such an underestimated aspect of this business is the question and answer. And guys, as good buyers, if somebody asks a question and you have the answer for it, I know you get the email about it, so don't pretend like you don't. Actually answer the question, because ultimately that's going to help out the community, the Amazon community as a whole. I mean, we're upgrading, as you guys can see. It's blacked out in here now, but we're upgrading all our systems, and we bought a lot of our stuff on Amazon, and I fully intend to go through and make sure I'm answering the questions, because it is stuff that I'm going to be working with every single day. So be the good seller, be the good buyer, and just answer the questions, because it can make a success story like Travis, and you can help somebody else grow their business.
Amen.
There's my spiel. There's my spiel. I'm done, guys. I'm done. So one of the questions I had actually to kind of tap into what you were talking about, all your calculations and stuff. How have you calculated your margins?
That's a very broad question. I mean, I have a spreadsheet that basically has all of my expenses. How much am I paying? My 30% deposit, my 70% deposit. How much am I paying to get it shipped here? I include getting the product here. Some people don't include that in their cost of goods. I do, because I want to know what my landed cost is going to be. And because I've used different freight forwarders, I've had different. Um, I've had my products at a hub and then sent to Amazon. I've had them sent to my home. I mean, I had 2,000 units, that 5 huge pallets in my garage, and there I'm actually doing the same thing again, because it was an easy and it was a good experience. So I'm going to do that again. And then I have another product that is in another hub, and so I basically have a Google spreadsheet, and I have tabs for each of my products, and I have kind of um, a formulas all set up in there, and so I can say, well, I'm going to run a giveaway of 50 or 25 or whatever, and at this price, or at free, and then I put in how much it costs from Amazon, and just all of those calculations, so I can get a rough idea. I mean, it doesn't count for returns, but I mean, that first product, um, just to give you an idea, when I ordered 2,000, I had it landed, it in Amazon, so including my inbound shipping from my home, for right at five, just right over $5, and it's selling for $21.99. So it's over a
Gosh.
200% ROI. I'm making about $10 every time it sells. So I mean,
Wow.
that's a great product to have selling 5 or 10 a day. And like in the fourth quarter, it was selling 20, 30 a day. So,
Jeez,
um,
man.
you know, give me 10 more of those and I'm good.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if that answers your question. I mean, I basically just take as many numbers as I can and figure out what it's going to be. And then I test. Like I started that product out at $19.99, and then I just tested it at $21.99 just to see. And it didn't dip any in the sales. So I just left it there.
We actually had some technical difficulties and everything shut down. There was no sound. So, obviously, you guys just heard Travis's incredible story. I mean, what an amazing ROI on products. And I love what you were talking. I went back and listened to the podcast several times and was so excited about just the way you guys have handled your business within having a full-time job on the other end. I mean, that's so much work. And yeah, I really appreciate what you guys are doing and how you've done it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. I actually, I appreciate that. We actually were let go from the church, believe it or not, in March of this last year. So I didn't tell you that. That was something that I completely forgot. And so we kind of we were thrown into a full-time position really by force. I mean, we had some severance that lasted us for a little while, and then we had sold a home in Colorado Springs where we moved from to move up here to take the position at the church. So we've been living on savings as we've been ramping this thing up and investing in the business. And I'm at a place now where the business is self-sufficient, and I'm hesitant to take any money out. We're having little bits of cash infusion through just life situations. I wrecked my car in December, and it's a terrible thing. But now we're a one car family. I got the $200 a month payment off my books, and I made $4,000. So that's a little cash infusion. We're going to get our tax return, coming back. That's going to be another cash infusion, and so we're able to kind of make that snowball work, or build that snowball to where when we do actually have to start taking cash out of the business, we're going to feel a lot more comfortable about it.
Ah, so cool. I mean, I love it. We were just talking about passions and just kind of what drives us and what pushes us forward. And Travis and his wife, absolutely amazing. One of the things that obviously you guys have heard from me before, and something that I so am passionate about is community and building that community. And
Mhm.
and I feel like you guys have represented that so well. And Empire, actually, one of the things I want to encourage you guys is there's so many conferences all over the place, and things that are going on, local meetups and stuff like that. I mean, if you guys are fans of Chris Green, he does it all the time. He meets up with people all the time. I would encourage you, if you're ever near him or any of the other, anybody else in your community that's having meetups, please go and do it. It
Yeah.
really does change things. Travis and his partner, forgive me, I'm forgetting his name, but they're working on or it's not working, it's going to happen. They have a conference coming up, and I'd really encourage you guys to not just to go to this conference, but to go to a conference this year and kind of spread your wings with that, because it genuinely is important that you guys are a part of this. We work alone a lot of the times. A lot of the times it's our families that are working with us, but we don't have an outside community that we can get excited about what we're doing. I mean, for me, I love meeting up with other eBay. I got a guy here in town that I meet up with who's an eBay seller, and we've only met up a few times, but every time I walk away feeling so much more happy because I have somebody to geek out about, a new feature on eBay or whatever. And this is an amazing opportunity for you guys to meet some amazing people. If you're in the vicinity of Colorado, you guys, there's an amazing opportunity here. So Travis, kind of tell us a little more about this conference.
Yeah. So Paul Witter and I, he's a local guy. He's a local Amazon seller. We found each other on Facebook, and we decided just to hook up, and for the very reason you're you just mentioned, just the community aspect. And so we're sharing about our business and just talking about, all of the people on Facebook that we know, but they're spread all over the country. And we were like, what if we did a conference? And I had been thinking about it for a while and just was hesitant to take the first step, but we decided, that's a great idea. And so we put together the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. You can go check it out at resellerconference.com. And I just started contacting all of these relationships that I had built over the past year. And so we've got people like Andy Slammons and Chris and Jason Wilkie from the FBA Master, Nate McAllister, Jeff Cohen of Seller Labs, Kristen Ostrander from Mommy Income, Robin Johnson from Best from the Nest, even Scott Volker, the amazing seller himself. So we've got all these great folks that are going to be a part of this conference. We've got other great vendors that are going to be there, like Inventory Labs, Merchant Words, obviously Seller Labs, and many more. You can obviously check all those out, but there's going to be a lot of really smart people in the room, at this conference. And I am so stoked to meet them, to shake their hand, to have a beer with them, just to be around people that I can bounce ideas off of. And, I actually just did a video for this. Like, I shot a video, and one of the things I say in that video about the conference is that I think the best reason for me or for you to go to a conference, to go to this conference or any conference, isn't even known by you yet. You don't know the best reason, because you won't discover that reason until you're actually there. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, this is the reason I'm here. And it's going to come down to a relationship that you make. It's going to come down to something that happens at that conference that just changes the way you think, or maybe it's a new idea. It's a business venture. It could be, a ton of different things, but you can't know it until you actually go and get in the room and shake some hands and, talk to people. That's the only way you're going to find out. So I'm
I
excited about it, needless to say.
totally. I mean, I think you hit it. You hit it just on the head, man. Like it isn't. You don't. You're paying the money to get out there, and you're like, okay, what am I doing? Like, I had this moment. I went to Ecom Chicago, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I just spent $2,000 to get out here. I'm on the West Coast. I'm going to Chicago. Like what am I doing? And what ended up happening? I cannot even express how many ridiculously amazing people I met. I mean,
Mm.
a lot of, the people that are listening, I got to meet you guys. I got to meet Kristen Ostrander. I got to hang out with Chris Green. We talked so many times. There's so many people there that I actually got to build relationship with, and that
Yeah,
was the game changer for me. I think you're totally right. I mean, partnerships and classes and business opportunities. I mean, Empire. You guys have experienced some of the amazing opportunities that have come from it. If you're listening to the podcast, a ton
yeah.
of guests came on because of that. I mean, there's so much information out there that you don't know yet, and somebody else has the keys to that success for you. And dude, I love what you just said, because it's like, for me, it's okay. Yes, it's an investment. It
Mm.
is an investment. And could you perchance hear the same story that leader, that person's going to tell at the conference? Yeah, totally. You
Yeah,
could, if you dug for it, you could find somebody's story. But what you don't get is the face-to-face interaction with the, in a sense,
right.
these gurus of the e-com world, and the people who are making the difference in the e-com world. And the reality is, the people talking, me, Chris Green, those guys, we're doing it, but it's the people who are, their feet are, it's not their feet in it. They're all the way in the pool, and they're going after this stuff, that are
Yeah,
making the difference and making the change, and ultimately can give you the best advice. Like,
totally.
I only have so much time for you. Probably I don't have much time at all for our broader audience, but you can partner with the people in your community. And this, it's not just this conference. It's CES, it's Ecom Chicago, it's all of these different conferences, that there may be one closer to you. I know there's one in Seattle. I'm spacing the name for it, but like, there's so many different conferences that you guys can go to, and meetups that you can go to, that you're going to get better advice there and real life experience there
Yep.
than if you go anywhere else. And so that's my spiel, guys. You know I'm passionate about community, so I'm not going to go any more into it. But really, this is an incredible opportunity. They're actually giving a $25 discount, and I think the price of this, especially with the lineup. I mean, you guys have a crazy lineup, but it's already ridiculous. Give us the price. I'm spacing them. Should have written this
Yeah,
down.
yeah. The price is only $2.99. That's the regular price. I don't know when this is going to air. There's some other early bird things if it gets out there earlier. But yeah, we set up if you enter the code Empire, you'll get $25 off from the whatever price it's at. You know, when you actually click the buy button, and then we also negotiated a really good deal with the hotel for $99 single occupancy rooms, and that includes a hot breakfast. And it's a Hilton, so it's not a junky hotel. I mean, it's a nice hotel. Yeah, our biggest thing was like, we're in the middle of the country. A lot of times you got to go to the East Coast, you got to go to the West Coast to do this. We're in Denver, Colorado, so flights can be relatively inexpensive. Southwest flies here and you can get here relatively cheap. We wanted to try to keep the total cost. I mean, you talked about spending $2,000 to get to ecom, and with all of your expenses, we wanted to try to allow you to come to a conference for under $1,000, and it's going to be right around there by the time you factor in your airfare and your meals and the conference ticket and the hotel. But I think it's totally doable for $1,000. And I don't know of a greater lineup, conference wise. Obviously I'm biased, I'll admit that, but that you can do for that kind of money. So, we specifically tried to keep it inexpensive. So, anybody could come to this. It's not just the elite top sellers, although we'll have elite top sellers there that you can pick their brain, but everybody's invited. And we wanted to make it accessible to everybody and not just say that with words, but actually show it. And I think the lineup and the particularly the cost reflects that.
I love it. And I know I wasn't going to say anything else, but show up a day early and stay a day later,
Mm.
because you're gonna go out. You said it, like, everybody will go to dinner that night, the night before the conference, and you're gonna meet people the night before the conference. I know that, Kristen and
Mhm.
Amy a lot of times will meet with their communities the night before and or during the conference at some point. So don't
Mhm.
miss out on the opportunity to even come early. Like, plan that out. And guys, I'm not a tax expert, but I know that for us, it's a tax write-off. So,
Exactly.
it's just kind of factor that in. You guys are investing in your business, and the partnerships. Again, you talked about partnerships. I know I'm preaching again, but it really is important to go after those things. So yeah, show up. My last piece of advice is, if you guys go to a conference, whether it's this one or any other, show up a day early and stay a day late. That way you can continue building those relationships. So again, $25 discount off of a $299 price. That's pretty awesome. I mean, and there's going to be, hopefully we can get this out soon enough, but there's going to be discounts. What's the date of the conference?
It's April 29th and 30th, which is a Friday, Saturday. And we actually are kind of putting it out there that Thursday night we'll be kind of doing a meet and greet down in the hotel lobby, bar area downstairs. So yeah, come a day early, or at least get there on Thursday so that night you can be a part of that too.
Perfect. Well, guys, uh, there's so much great information. I hope you guys just sucked up all this information in this podcast, and you guys know I love my notes, and I've taken notes even from now. So yeah, thank you so much, Travis, for being on. I'm super excited. Hopefully we can make it to the conference. If not, hopefully we see you in another one. And thank you for all of the information that you shared.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun, and enjoyed meeting you and getting to speak to your listeners. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, Empire, if you guys want to go check out this conference, check out below in the comments section, whether you're on iTunes or YouTube. All the information will be there. And we are so excited. If you ever see me at a conference, please don't be shy. Come up to me, talk to me. Obviously, Travis will be there too. Talk to him. And we really are excited about what's happening in the ecom world. Hopefully, you're feeling it. So until next time, Empire, have a fantastic day.